The race for Tāmaki Makaurau is shaping up as one of a proven track record versus a refreshed movement. Mainstream versus minor. 2 chief contenders and 1 big test.
I still have the skill set, the desire, and of course the determination to deliver for Tāmaki Makaurau.
I am not a seasoned career politician. Make no mistake about it, being born Māori, you are born political.
Kia ora, ko Lillian Hanly ahau, anei te pūrongo tōranga pū mō tēnei wiki. Welcome to Focus on Politics, with just 1 week to go for the constituents of the Tāmaki Makaurau electorate to place their vote in the by-election. The sudden death of Takutai Tarsh Kemp in June was a shock to Parliament. From the outset, it was clear the contest for her replacement would be conducted with respect. Oriini Kaipara from Te Pāti Māori up against Labour's Peeni Henare.
We're here because of the sad and tragic passing of our tuahine. I know my tuahine and I both are reluctant in the shadow of her passing to be asking for the mandate of Tāmaki Makaurau to represent him, but we must acknowledge her because that's why we find ourselves here. Well, kia ora tātou.
There's another dynamic at play too, illustrated in this interview with Moana Maniapoto, the relationship between Māori MPs that often crosses party lines.
Oriini Kaipara, Peeni Henare, kia ora.
Kia ora.
You guys are like besties now. You've been on the road a bit, haven't you?
Yeah, we have. Besties, yeah, bro and sis.
Yeah.
Officially, there are 5 candidates on the ballot paper, including Calvin Alp from New Zealand Loyal, Hannah Tāmaki from Vision New Zealand, and Sherry Lee Martine as an independent. But it's clear bro and sis are the frontrunners, Peeni Henare of Ngāpuhi descent and Oriini Kaipara from Tūhoe. In 2023, the Labour and Te Pāti Māori candidates each received more than 10,000 votes, about 80% of all votes cast. Hannah Tāmaki couldn't muster even 900. And so the contest looks to be one of experience versus fresh energy, a former Labour minister versus a first-time candidate backed by a resurgent Te Pāti Māori, both pitching themselves as best placed to take down the coalition.
Everybody is screaming for this government to get out. This government is doing way too much damage by the hour.
Our people everywhere, Māori, Pākehā, Tauiwi, hate this government.
Normally based at Parliament, I've come to Auckland to follow the race on the ground. The Tāmaki Makaurau electorate stretches from the Waitakere Ranges to Bucklands Beach. It includes most of Auckland's southern and eastern suburbs, as well as Waiheke Island. And it has some striking stats. Of the Māori electorates, it has the highest average annual household income at nearly $130,000, but also the highest number of people on the job seeker benefit. At the end of July, nearly 44,000 people were enrolled to vote in Tāmaki Makaurau, almost half of them under the age of 40. The seat is young, urban and diverse. Come for a ride with me to my first stop in Manurewa, where Peeni Henare is meeting students. At Te Pūtahi Māori o Manurewa campus, they welcome him with a song referencing the whakatauki, what is the most important thing in the world. People, it answers. The students may be too young to vote, but not too young to have views.
Most Māori would say Māori Party, but I think that's a bit biased because as I see it, Labour is doing more for us than the Māori Party themselves. That's what I see.
My family is a Labour Party. We've always been that. Seeing Te Pāti Māori though, I am going to lean towards them more, being all Māori rounded. I like how they push boundaries, as we seen last year when they did a haka in Parliament, which was never seen before.
Trust the kids to identify one of the key battlegrounds this race, not just the question of experience, but also of extremes. While both candidates have zeroed in on similar topics, the cost of living, housing, health and te reo Māori, one of them has the freedom to push further. On the one side, you have Labour, a mainstream party appealing to the majority. On the other, Te Pāti Māori, more willing and able to push the boundaries. Since the election, it's only gained momentum, helping to mobilise tens of thousands of people under the Toitū Te Tiriti banner to protest the Treaty Principles Bill. For Peeni Henare, his challenge is how to win over voters when he cannot go as far as his opponent. That's where we're going, eh?
Yeah, I'll show you where to go. Don't worry about it. I know where I'm going.
You know where you're going because...
Yeah.
We dig into that dynamic as we drive on to the next campaign stop. He's confident about where he's going and where he's been. He keeps pointing to his track record as a reason to vote for him, having previously held the seat from 2014 through to 2023. Of course, that record includes losing the seat that year to Takutai Tarsh Kemp, who ousted him with a narrow lead of just 42 votes following a recount. The 2023 general election, Labour lost all but one of the Māori seats. Why?
Look, I think the tide had, in particular in Tāmaki Makaurau here, the tide had gone out on Labour. And if I can draw a comparison, 2023, I could feel it in the community, the tide had gone out on Labour. Right now, I can tell you the tide is going out on this government because nobody's talking about 2023 other than to say, oh, we thought we were going to get this, but we got this instead, and now we don't want this lot. At the end, you want to go right.
There's one thing to be against this government, but that doesn't necessarily make people for Labour. What has Labour done since the election in order to win back the vote, in particular the Māori seat?
Well, we've listened, we've learned, we know that there were a number of things that we could have always done better, but you know, in the Māori seats, we smashed the party vote. We crushed the Māori party in the party vote in the Māori seats, and we're proud of that. I still managed to get over 10,000 votes and only lost by 40 odd. So all is not lost there for us. From the start of this campaign, I've always been clear. We've got one enemy here, and it's this government.
But Labour may have another enemy too, the party's own history. The first time Labour lost this seat was in 2005 to one of the Māori Party's founders, Tāpeta Sharples. The party was born out of protest at Labour's Foreshore and Seabed Bill, as thousands of Māori took to the streets and the late Dame Tariana Turia crossed the floor. How can Māori trust that you won't do that again?
Do you know why I ran for Labour? Te Pāti Māori asked me to run for them, but they were in bed with National. They worked with a national government that didn't do our people any favours either. That's a historical record that they asked me to run for them, and I didn't believe what they were standing for at the time. So I believed that Labour would be the one that could carry our whānau forward. And this goes back to the track record. We did some awesome things when we were in power to support our whānau. And you know, we are unapologetic about the fact that we're here for everyone.
That's the distinction, though. You said it yourself. Labour is here for everyone, whereas Te Pāti Māori can advocate or say that they are putting Māori first.
Yeah, but the problem with the false promises that the Māori Party sells our people is we'll entrench Te Tiriti o Waitangi. They can only do that with all of the parties that are currently in opposition. They can only do that by also including a national party and others. So what they're doing is promising our people something that they have no plan to achieve.
While he directed me through the South Auckland streets, I took the opportunity to get clarification around his position on the gang patch ban and Labour's position.
I know we voted against that bill, I know that. And I know there are parts of that bill in particular that that legislation now, that we don't agree with. Things like being able to go into people's homes, invade people's privacy on those matters. And when asked in the heat of that debate, would I said yes, because I do personally believe it.
But what does that say,
You want to sort of go left, and eventually you want to go across into the right lane.
I don't think he's talking about politics here, directing me to go right. What does that say, though, about Labour's priorities? If you believe something and enough to vote against it, but then not hold that position ongoing, it's confusing to voters.
No, I don't think it's confusing at all. Whānau and Tāmaki Makaurau, when we knock on their doors, are very clear on what's important to them. A lot of them don't know whether or not they'll have a job by the end of the month. A lot of them have to wait 5 to 6 weeks to see a GP. A lot of them don't even know if they're going to continue to stay in that house because the landlords are threatening to kick them out. Nobody has spoken to me about the gang patches when we've been door knocking and out of the markets.
Not too worried then. but one last direction for good luck.
At the next off-ramp, you want to go left.
The next day, I head to West Auckland, where Oriini Kaipara calls home. I'd seen on social media Te Pāti Māori had called on people to head to the Trust Arena on Thursday night to place their vote. Members of the former Te Matatini champions Ngā Tūmanako were there, as well as the co-leaders of Te Pāti Māori. While waiting for Oriini Kaipara to arrive and cast her vote, I spoke to co-leader Rawiri Waititi about how she was going.
You mentioned she had 6 weeks to prepare. She's gone up against a very polished, experienced politician, and you can sort of see some of that inexperience in Oriini. What do you think about that?
Oh, I think the inexperience is good because you're able to come from a perspective that a lot of our whānau can see and hear. And so when you're not polished on lines, you're not polished on policy, you're able to speak from your ngākau. And so policy and processes, they come from a head space. And so when you're speaking from your head, quite often you're pumping out the rhetoric and the narrative of your party. And quite often when he spoke from his heart, Peeni's leadership came and said, in actual fact, that's not party policy. Whereas for us, we're a lot more liberated in regards to the oranga of our people.
You say that you can be somewhat more liberal, right, in terms of your whakaaro, I guess responding, you're not tied by those party lines, but some criticism to that might be that you make promises that you can't necessarily fulfil.
Yeah, well, look, people probably said that about the ACT Party too.
But this focus on politics is not about the ACT Party, not even running in this by-election. While we were speaking, Tāpita Sharples himself arrived at the event to cast his vote. I asked him who he voted for and he jokingly replied he'd forgotten her name. I managed to speak to Oriini Kaipara just after she'd cast her vote as well.
You cast your vote tonight with Tāpita Sharples. How did that feel?
Surreal. I mean, even just me putting myself forward is still surreal, but I'm quite used to it now. And with that comes not the weight of responsibility, but a very strong awareness of what I'm walking into. Te Pāti Māori is the only party that pushes 100% and beyond for Māori outcomes, Māori solutions and Māori funding to Māori, by Māori, for Māori. That doesn't mean that Te Pāti Māori is exclusively Māori and only does things for Māori only. No, that's not the case at all. Te Pāti Māori stands for justice. It comes back to the fact that, whānau living in poverty are always having to pay for the perks of the privileged few. And that's always Māori. That's why we say Māori have to come first, because it's the greatest breach of te tiriti o Waitangi when tangata whenua are landless and homeless on their own whenua. Our collective sense of belonging is being destroyed by the hour under this coalition of chaos. It's callous, it's cruel, and it's cunning in everything it is doing, and it's stripping away everything.
I guess a criticism or Labour might say that Te Pāti Māori can promise these transformational things, but you can't fulfil them because you may not be in government or you may not have, whereas Labour can, for example.
Let's take, for instance, whānau ora. Whānau ora, as everybody knows, was conceived and ideated by the late Dame Tariana Turia. This is no bragging, it's a fact. Te Pāti Māori cannot outright, by itself, ever become the government, right? By itself. That's a given, that's known. It's a minority party. It must go into coalition government.
There has been some commentary around, obviously you've got Peeni, who is an experienced politician. He's been in government, he's been in opposition. You haven't even been in parliament. What do you say to that?
I don't think you need to be in parliament to know or to have an idea of where the problems lie. Hey, people have lost their jobs left, right and centre, right across the board, and some of them live with me.
Why should Tāmaki Makaurau vote for you?
Because I'm pono and I'm passionate about Tāmaki Makaurau. I also have come from diverse backgrounds. I'm a mum. I'm mum of 4. I also have a mokopuna, so I understand the struggles. I'm fearless. I do some pretty out the gate things. I like to push boundaries, break boundaries, break barriers to inspire other people. If I can, then you can.
Why should the Tāmaki Makaurau electorate vote for you?
because I've got a proud track record of delivering for whānau here in Tāmaki Makaurau. I've done it before, and I know I can do it again. Right now, Tāmaki Makaurau needs its strongest voice and most experienced person to do this, because of the challenges this government has thrust on this beautiful kāinga of ours.
Another factor in this race will be turnout, always low in by-elections, but perhaps even more so here. Turnout in 2023 was already low in Tāmaki Makaurau, just 63.4%, the lowest of the Māori electorates. So far, only 1,400 ordinary votes had been cast between Monday and Thursday this week. Both candidates then will be focusing on getting their side out to vote. Voting closes at 7 p.m. on Saturday, September the 6th. That was Focus on Politics. I'm Lillian Hanly. Thanks for joining me. Mā te wā.